Hi folks, you're very welcome to our session this morning. The very first of our streams over LinkedIn over the next couple of months, and I think a very apt one for the time of year that we find ourselves in. So you're very welcome to winding down for 2001 or 2021. So before we dive into looking at the actual survival kit that we're going to present this morning, let me ask you, where are you dialing in from today? Sit upright in your chair, not stiff, not to attention, feet flat on the ground. Put your hands in your lap. And if you're comfortable doing so, allow your eyes to close. Now, you don't have to allow your eyes to close. You can just let your gaze fall down to the ground, maybe a couple of meters in front of you with a soft focus. But if you really want to kind of get a chill experience out of this, why not just allow the eyes to close for a couple of moments? And as you're there, just allow the body to settle down a little bit. And we're going to go into our first practice, which is we call seat and feet. And all I want you to do is just allow your attention to fall down and become aware of your feet on the floor. Now, I don't mean visualize your feet or imagine your feet, but rather just to allow yourself to notice that there are sensations going on in your feet. There are nerve endings firing all the time. And that if you choose to, you can allow your attention just to drop down and become aware of them. And so just noticing, what's it like to notice your feet on the ground? Can you feel the sensation, for example, of gravity rooting you to the ground? There may be some tingling. There may be some throbbing. Maybe there's hot or cold, tight or loose. And what's going on doesn't really matter. But just notice that you can notice. So just allowing whatever else you were paying attention to just to fall away, and just see if you can just tune in and allow the sensations from the feet to rise to your awareness. And of course, there will be noises around you and thoughts will go through your head, and that's okay. That's the world, that's life. But when you get distracted, just allow yourself just to retune back onto the feet on the ground. Just noticing any sensations that there are to notice. Not trying to change them. Not looking for any special experience. But rather just allowing yourself to relax into the simple act of paying attention to what's going on with your feet. And I'm going to go quiet for a couple of seconds now and allow you just to sit with that for a moment. Again, as I say, you're not looking for any special experience. You're just noticing the incredible capability that you have to tune into any part of your body. In this situation, it happens to be your feet. Now, you've allowed your awareness to drop down to your feet on the ground. I want you to imagine that your awareness is like a beam of light. And we're going to make that beam more of a wide-angle beam. And it's going to get wider so that it starts to take in not just your feet on the ground, but your seat, where your body is in contact with your chair. So just allow yourself to notice where your body is contacting the chair. You may feel the weight of your body pressing down on your sitting bones, on your hips. You may feel your thighs in contact with your clothing and in turn in contact with the chair. You might be aware of your knees just bent over the edge of the chair. And just paying attention again to any sensations. Not looking for anything special, just seeing, how do I know I'm sitting here on the chair with my feet on the ground? So allowing your attention just to settle down and to pay attention to what's going on with your seat and your feet. Nothing more. And should you become a little bit distracted and that thought comes into your mind or a sound comes along, that's okay. just allow yourself to fall back to paying attention to the seat and the feet again. And then I go quiet for about 30 seconds. Just see if you can just allow yourself to relax into paying attention to the seat and the feet. And so, having allowed our attention to settle down a little bit and become aware of the seat and the feet, now what we're going to do is we're going to allow the attention just to move away from the seat and feet, let them fade to the background. And just start to notice that all of this time you've been breathing. And I don't want you to change your breath. I don't want you even to go into particularly a mindfulness exercise or anything right now, but just notice, oh, I'm breathing. Notice the breath going in and the breath going out. And just allow your breath to establish its normal rhythm. Don't play with it. Don't slow it down. Just allow it to do what it's doing and pay some attention while I talk to you about what the next part of the exercise is. The second practice is something called 6 breaths. And it's something that was designed by a Dr. Andrew Weil in the United States, and it's often called the joyful breath or the breath of joy. It's a great way of chilling down. In a few moments, I'm going to invite you to change your breath just a little bit. But don't do it yet. Just listen and I'll tell you how it's going to work. So you've settled down on the seat and feet. In a few moments, I'm going to suggest to you that you take a big deep breath and that you let it out with a kind of a sigh of relief. So you know when everything goes right and you weren't expecting it to, and you take this big breath and you, kind of, oh my God, thank God. So I'm going to invite you to take that deep breath in a moment. You can practice it now if you like. And then when that breath is over, we're going to change the rhythm of the breath so that you'll breathe in for a count of 4, which I'll count you through. You'll hold the breath for a count of 7, and then you'll let it out nice and gently and slowly for a count of 8. Now, for some of you, that the 7 and the 8 might feel a little bit too long. That's okay. Whatever you do, don't put yourself under pressure. Don't have yourself winded trying to keep with the counts. If you need to let the breath out a little bit faster, that's okay. If you can't hold it for the count of 7, that's okay. But the key thing here is that there is a hold at the top of the breath, at the top of the in-breath, and that the out-breath is distinctly longer than the in-breath. So I'm going to count you through that, and we're just going to do 6 of those breaths, and that's the full extent of this practice. So starting to breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, holding 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and out for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And out, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And out, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just allowing your breath now to establish itself back to a normal rhythm, a normal cadence, settling into that. So take a deep breath, let it out nice and slowly, open your eyes, stretch if you want to, and let's talk about those 2 practices really, really quickly. So if you want to let me get out of the way. If you want us to send you on both a copy of the slides and a link to the Insight app, which has the recording of each of these practices, sorry, 3 of these practices, doesn't have the 1 breath break in it, well then just hold your camera up to the QR code on the screen there, and it will just ask you for your email address so that we can pop that through to you, and that'll go through to you automatically from the system. So take a deep breath, let it out nice and slowly, open your eyes, stretch if you want to, and let's talk about those 2 practices really, really quickly. This is one of the ones that really, really goes down well on a lot of our programs. And it's something that I've taken with permission from the Search Inside Yourself program from Search Inside Yourself Leadership Institute. And that's the organization that delivers Google's Mindful Leadership program. And I deliver that for them at times. And this is a simple 3-breath practice, which is designed for those situations where you're just really stressed out, you're really overwhelmed, there's so much going on in front of you that you can't figure out what to do. And you know that day when you think, oh God, just take me now, when there's so much to do that you get frozen. They don't often talk about it, but the fight or flight is actually the fight, flight, or freeze response. And sometimes we get so overwhelmed by what's going on that we can't figure out what to do. In fact, to put a smile on it, one of my favorite quotations, if you've been on our sessions before, you've probably heard this, was from, was it David Revson? Yeah, anyway, the founder of Revlon Cosmetics. And he said, I'm like a mosquito in a nudist colony. I know exactly what I should be doing, but I don't know where to start. And when you get really, really stressed, that's what can happen. You can't figure out where to get started. Because you can't get started, you start to feel more overwhelmed and so on. This is a great way of coming down from this. It consists of just 3 breaths. Now, I'll talk you through it first, and then we'll do it together. And of course, I'm going to give you these slides afterwards if you want them, so that you have them for reference. And we'll give you a recording, I beg your pardon, we'll give you an app that will allow you to get at these practices if you want to have them at your fingertips. So just during this session, just tune in and just go along with the practice. So what's important now is just 3 breaths. So on the first one, I'm sure you may as well do it with me, and we'll do it as a unit in a moment. It's just 1 slow, mindful breath. What do I mean by mindful? I mean just notice the breath going in and notice the breath going out. And mindful of the fact that the longer exhalation starts to chill us down, I would suggest that you be really conscious and mindful of getting that exhalation as long as possible. So it's probably something like, whatever is comfortable. So just 1 simple long breath. Second one is on the second breath, you're breathing in, nice deep breath. And as you're breathing out, just allowing any tension that you find in your body to go out on the out breath. So you're breathing in, and then you're just paying attention. Are my shoulders held too high? Are my fists clenched? Is my jaw clenched? Have I got my forehead furrowed? You know, if there's any sort of tension, just basically allowing everything to go south. Allowing everything to relax down. So just chilling. So on the second breath, it's just, and then, and just allowing the body relax. And then on the third one, it's just breathing in. And as you're breathing in and out, just allowing this question to arise. What's important now? Now, when you're in that sense of overwhelm, there's always something that is more important than everything else. It's the place where you could start getting moving on things. And reality is we always eventually find something we're going to do to get started. When we get started, we get ourselves out of that rut. So what's important now is just on the back of those couple of relaxing breaths that are triggering the parasympathetic nervous system, we're just saying, now, where do I need to focus? What's important now? What's the most important thing for me to pay attention to? I'll worry about all the others later on, but what's the most important now at this point in time? Now, sometimes I find I have to do this 3 or 4 times. So let's do it first together, the 3 of them together. So just 1 slow mindful breath. Second breath, just to relax. And the third breath, what's important now? Now, sometimes I find with this that I'll need to go through a couple of cycles, because I'm just so head up that, I'm asking what's important now and nothing pops up. So you just allowing yourself that few seconds to break that cycle, just to get a sense of where should I start? Because once you get started, you dig yourself out of that rut. So just wondering, where can you see yourself? This is one of those practices that really sticks on the programs we do. I'm just wondering, as you're looking at that, when can you see yourself potentially using that practice? So just pop something into the chat. Well, let me then come to the very final practice in this session. And it's something that was taught to me by a teacher in the Netherlands, a guy called Casper van der Meulen, and he's a breath coach. And it's based upon some research that was done in the Belgian University of Leuven, based upon that side breath that I forgot earlier on. And what they showed was that when you take, and why don't you do it with me right now? So take a really deep breath in, and then let it out with a kind of an explosive, relieved sigh. When you do that, you break that pattern I was talking about earlier on, where the sympathetic nervous system can get stuck into a sort of stress response. You start breathing in a pattern that suggests you're stressed, which enhances the stress response, which keeps the breathing going that way, and you get caught in the cycle. And what they found, and it's if you go on and you search, actually what I'll do is I'll put it into the handout. There's a reference to the piece of research. But bottom line is that sigh is enough to break that cycle, is enough to break that pattern of breathing and allow you to get back to a normal breath. Now, what Casper did was he built it into a nice sequence, which I find extremely, very, very useful. And again, just like all of the other practices, it's designed for those situations where you are feeling some sense of overwhelm. So let's say if you do the what's important now, this is a lovely physical adjunct to it. Now, one of the ways that you can really enhance this practice is by making it really a mindfulness practice also. So as you see, it revolves around breathing, just paying attention and noticing the sensations of the breath as they go into the body, as they go out of the body. That can just add an extra dimension in starting to chill you down. But this works on a physiological basis. So let me walk you through it first. You can do the individual elements as I talk you through, and then we'll do it as one unit, and I'll tell you how to use it and so on. So it begins with a full inhale, and that's a real full lung. It's kind of as big as you can make the lung, and then I'm going to get you, and I'll talk you through it in a moment, to hold it for 3 to 5 seconds. And you do what's comfortable for you, don't put yourself under pressure. And then you let it out, I beg your pardon, you let it out with that side exhale, that. And when you get to the bottom of that exhale, you hold the breath. Now you hold the breath until you feel the urge to breathe. Now, what do I mean by that? Feeling the urge to breathe does not mean that you're blacking out, that your vision is starting to go, that you're going to fall over, that your heart is beating out of your chest. It's just you hold your breath, and you'll notice after a couple of seconds, slight little spasms that say, okay, it's time to breathe. And that's when you let it go. If we do this practice and you get to the end of it and it's like you've run up 10 flights of stairs, you've gone too far. This is not a macho exercise. It's not about how long you can hold your breath. So it'll be just holding that breath until you feel the urge to breathe. And then when you feel I've just lost my screen there for a second. And when you feel the urge to breathe, just letting it out and going back to your normal breathing. So let's do it as a single cycle, just so you experience it as a single cycle, and then I'll talk you through how you can use that. So really fill the lung. Hold. Hold. and then back to your normal breathing. And interesting, what's really interesting, when next time you find yourself really kind of getting head up, just walk through that practice. It takes a little bit to remember, breathe in for 1, a hold for 3 to 5 seconds, the explosive exhale, holding at the end of the breath. And, to get the pattern in there, takes a few minutes, or it takes a little bit of practice. But what you find is that it starts to reset where your body is at, and that starts to reset where the mind is at. So let's do it one more time, and then we'll start to wrap up the session. So a full lung. And then returning back to normal. Now, I'll often repeat that a couple of times. And what you will feel is you'll feel there's a physiological change. The key thing here is you'll notice those breath holds essentially elongate the exhale. And the sigh essentially resets that breathing pattern, breaks that, I know I'm exaggerating, breaks that pattern a little bit. So that's the one breath break, puts a break on your sympathetic nervous system, gives you an opportunity to get back into a more relaxed form. Now, one of the things that you can always do, always, you're finding yourself under stress, and you can think of nothing else because your head is everywhere and nowhere, just start physiologically to slow down the breathing a little bit, and particularly letting the exhale slow down. And once you start to let the exhale slow down a little bit, you'll find you get a little bit more perspective, and then you can dive into these practices. So that is the one breath, or the Mindfulness Survival Kit. I don't expect that you're going to remember this, and I don't expect that you're going to jump back onto LinkedIn to watch this again over Christmas so that you can get the practices off. So if you want to let me get out of the way, if you want us to send you on both a copy of the slides and a link to the Insight app, which has the recording of each of these practices, 3 of these practices, doesn't have the one breath break in it, well then just hold your camera up to the QR code on the screen there, and it will just ask you for your email address so that we can pop that through to you, and that'll go through to you automatically from the system.